This is my Raspberry Pi 3. I just have it plugged into the wall, and then I have an HDMI cord hooked up to my flat screen TV, and then also a Xbox 360 controller. So this is the emulation station user interface that's a part of this RetroPie package that you can install on most Linux distributions. So I just installed this on top of Raspbian Lite, and it's really nice. It comes with tons and tons of emulators. Here you can see I have Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64, and then just NES. But RetroPie comes with a lot more emulators than just that. It only displays the ones for which you have ROMs. So I've only put ROMs from these 4 systems on here, but it also supports, Sega Genesis, MAME, like pretty much any like retro console you could imagine. Also, there's a lot of cool things you can do with the interface. You can change like the splash screens. You can, change the themes. It's very customizable, and I've only really scratched the surface, but I just wanted to kind of showcase, how smooth the games are emulated on this Raspberry Pi 3. So, obviously Nintendo, just the NES, is gonna be pretty achievable. It's old hardware, and it even worked pretty well on the Raspberry Pi 1, so I wasn't too worried about. And there's sound, of course. So I wasn't too worried about NES games running. But what I was worried about was with Super Nintendo, there are a few games that have extra coprocessors inside the cartridge. So for example, Super Mario RPG was one of the ones that I tried running on the Raspberry Pi 1, and it was just horrendously laggy. Like I couldn't even, it was unplayable because everything took forever. There's tons of frame skips. It was like the audio was lagging, the visuals were lagging, the input was lagging. It was just unplayable. But on the Pi 3, it's running at full speed. So this is one of the more egregious Super Nintendo games. It had probably the most powerful coprocessor. I think it was the A1. And so since this one's running smoothly, I'm not really worried about some of the other ones that have coprocessors like Star Fox and Yoshi's Island. Because if this one runs, then I'm pretty confident that the other ones are going to run smoothly as well. So no input lag, no audio lag, no visual lag. Nice. So one last thing I thought was pretty interesting was the RetroPie comes with a Nintendo 64 emulator, which I was skeptical how smooth it would be. And I'm sure some games will be better than others, but the one that I had, Jet Force Gemini, was actually it was very smooth. It was running at full frame rate when I was trying it, so. So you can press start and select at any time to jump back to the emulation station. So that's pretty much it. I'm still messing around with it, but there's a lot of things you can do. You can also Bluetooth. So one of the other things I want to try is getting it working with like my PlayStation 4 controller, because eventually I would like to have something like this with just a bracket on it, and then I can mount a Raspberry Pi that has like a battery pack and like a tiny LCD screen, and then do this same setup but like portable. So that's all I have for now. Hope you enjoyed it.